slowly gushing water. Because of the time distortion, he finally hit the spillway concrete above the water. His body bounced ever so slowly and then vanished inside the gushing water. Patch hovered over the water inside the shaded bubble. Because of the barrier, he did not sense the mist or noise as he floated toward the woods. Then, like an elastic reaching its maximum point of torque, everything around Patch accelerated like a video on fast forward. The water burst out of the dam until it blurred. Night fell for a brief moment and the sun rose over the woods. The flowing water formed like a solid piece of convoluted clear plastic. The days blended into night, forming a dim haze. Structures appeared on the slopes, and they rebuilt the dam in seconds. The elastic effect of time pulled him back to an uncertain future.
Chapter 39.
Liberty Park, Jersey City, New Jersey, Friday, August 15th, 2003, 12 o'clock noon. Patch closed his eyes when everything brightened. Fresh grass pressed against his cheeks and scraped arms. The sun warmed his fatigues. Warm, flowery scents filtered through the air. He squinted and sat up slowly. Beyond the benches and the fence, and distant across the water ripples, the Statue of Liberty towered above the balmy harbor. Meinkewitz had initially said he would retrograde Patch back to New York City. He struggled to his feet in the warm, breezy air and faced the city. Although relieved to see the Manhattan skyline, the absence of the World Trade Center's twin towers dumbfounded him. Patch just stared at the city for several minutes. No one seemed to care about his presence in the park. Joggers pranced along the asphalt pathways. He crossed the grass and slid onto one of the wood slat benches. The wrought iron light poles extended down the sidewalk bricks like markers in time along the water. And then the breeze kicked up again as he tried to figure out the timeline. He tracked the bikers and joggers across the park. Then he slid off the bench and pawed through the wire-rimmed trash bucket. He found candy wrappers, popcorn boxes, and old sandwiches. The next basket yielded more trash, but then he found a New York newspaper down the line. With both hands he held out the front page. August 15th, 2003. His head snapped back to Manhattan. Carlos had not plotted to nuke the city, yet the World Trade Center buildings were not a part of the skyline. Electrical surge darkens northeast U.S., 8 states affected. The eastern U.S. grids are overloaded. Airport closed. Governor George E. Pataki said 600 trains were stranded. Mayor Bloomberg said there was no evidence of any terrorism whatsoever. Retrograde. It overloaded the grid. He stuffed the paper back in the bucket. Meinkewitz, as if he had somehow gotten out of Cuba, would be in his 70s by now. Patch walked forward and grabbed the fence's top rail. He panned along the bay to the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island. He figured that 17 years after 1986 that it would be simple to find Meinkewitz. Ellis Island, Friday, August 15th, 2003, 2:30 p.m. Patch staggered under the upper arch pane windows inside the Ellis Island Center. Millions journeying to the United States of America had walked under the same windows. He leaned against one of the support columns and again wondered about the World Trade Center. Within the mass of tourists, he looked up at the mezzanine. Then he approached a young female guard named Susie, according to the black letters on her gold name tag. He gazed into her blue eyes. "Excuse me, I need to use a public telephone to locate an old friend of mine." "An immigrant?" "No, he's probably retired now. He used to work at Barton College." She had a wide smile. "You're welcome to use the internet." "Well, the internet is a military application." "Well, it may have started out that way. There's a computer over there." She motioned him to an alcove with at least a dozen small computers with average people sitting at the terminals. "What's your friend's name?" Patch looked back from the people and he marveled at the easy access to a classified military secret. "Ray Meinkewitz. He'd be over 70 now." She quickly typed in Meynkewitz's name. You said he worked at Barton College? Yeah. Here we go. He retired in 1997. Looks like he moved to Florida. There's a phone number. She wrote the number on a piece of paper. Here you go. Thanks so much. You want me to try him on my cell? She pulled out a very thin phone from her uniform pocket. Then she quickly pressed the numbers written on the paper. She handed the lightweight phone to him. Patch stared at the phone and slowly raised it to his ear. The line rang, but Meynkewitz's wife's voice came over the message machine.
You've reached Ray and Lynn. Please leave a message at the tone.
The tone sounded, and Patch cleared his voice. Ray, it's Patch. I arrived back this morning, August 15th, 2003. I'm using a mobile phone of a tour guide named Susie at Ellis Island. Ray, you need to get up here right away. He handed the phone back to her and she closed the case. How long since you've seen your friend? Patch's eyes watered as he looked around the spacious hall. It seems like a lifetime. This may seem like a dumb question, but I'd like to know about the World Trade Center. I can Google it for you. You can what? She bent over the keyboard and typed into a center box on the screen. Never forget, she said. Right, thank you. He sat at the terminal. Images of jetliners hitting each tower and massive explosions were in the photos all over the screen. Billowing smoke rose over New York City just 2 years ago. People leaped out of the upper windows. He read something about Islamic terrorists fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. He clicked on the video of the president, George W. Bush, speaking through a bullhorn in front of the fallen buildings.
I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Patch pushed the chair across the tile and ran to the harbor window. He focused on the new skyline as tears streamed down his cheeks. My God, what have I done? Ellis Island, Friday, August 15th, 2003, 5:55 p.m. In the late afternoon sun, 5 huge black vehicles swung around the corner. Patch sat on a concrete pier, his legs dangling over the water as he turned away from the Statue of Liberty. Over a dozen policemen with automatic weapons and bulletproof vests formed a cordon around him. From the forward car, a white-haired man balding on top stepped onto the pier. Patch recognized Meinkewitz. Meinkewitz waddled forward as if he really did not believe that Patch had returned. Patch, I saw the bright light at the dam. So long ago, you were falling and then you were gone. Just happened to me, Ray. Just happened. Meinkewitz looked into his eyes and they embraced. You killed Carlos, didn't you, Ray? Ah, I did. And you made it to the boat. No, Patch. They eventually got me out after the missile crisis. The what? Kay told us what was supposed to have happened and what we did at Sector 13 and the other timeline you once lived in. She contacted me back in 86. I knew it was real. I knew things had changed. 86? Where is she, Ray? She's married. Has 3 kids. His emotions were numb now as he turned away. The Twin Towers were destroyed in 2001. I had no idea if we influenced what happened on 9/11. I only know the things we caused to change. He looked back at the aged Meinkewitz and followed the lines in his face around his eyes. What did we change, Ray? Meynkewitz's blue eyes filled and his wife steadied him. I only know this from what Kate told us. You see, Patch, President Kennedy, Meinkewitz began to sob openly and his wife held him. What about President Kennedy? November 22nd, 1963. He was assassinated in Dealey Plaza, Texas, Patch. Meinkewitz choked on his words and clutched his wife. For some reason, the timeline changed. See, there was great turmoil in the 1960s and a horrible war. Listen, we have time to talk about that later. It's a war in Cuba? No, the Vietnam War, said Meinkewitz. Vietnam? See, the troops weren't brought home from Vietnam in 1965 like the other timeline. Listen, Patch, trust in government was gone after the Watergate break-in and Nixon's resignation in '74. Nixon's resignation? What the hell are you talking about? Patch clutched his street lamp. I don't mean to hit you with this all at once, Patch. What have I done? You haven't done anything wrong, Patch. We didn't have enough information to perform time travel experiments. Now let's get the hell out of here. We'll take care of you, Patch. No one's going to take care of me, Ray. Get me back to Sector 13. I want to go to Colorado right now. There is no Sector 13, Patch. That was the other timeline. Meinkewitz stepped forward, put his hand on Patch's shoulder. We saved the lives of millions in 1986 and wasted the lives of others. It's called reality, Patch. We made our best judgment. Patch peered out over the water at the Liberty torch. Who are we to judge, Ray? Who are we to judge?
We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change. For I have sworn before you and Almighty God the same solemn oath our forebears prescribed nearly a century and 3/4 ago. The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
All of my books are available in paperback, Kindle, and audio at www.fittonbooks.com, or you can look at the list of audiobooks separately at pizzazz-pizzazz.com.